I'm Leah Lane, an award-winning travel writer and author of Places I Remember, Tales, Truths, Delights from 100 Countries. On this podcast, we share conversations with travelers about fascinating destinations and memorable experiences around the world. Travel for women, especially solo travel, is a hot topic. So on this episode of Places I Remember, we talk with Caryl Eve Dolinko, author of A Woman's Guide to World Travel. It's a memoir with loads of tips for all travelers. Welcome, Caryl, to Places I Remember.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk travel with you.
We're excited to have you. Tell us about your initial 8 years of traveling abroad and how that affected your life.
Initially, funny enough, it started as a 4-month journey. I was supposed to travel with a friend. It was just after high school, so a lot of people do that, short little trip to Europe, as that's what we were going to do. And my parents were really pleased that I was going with a friend, and they knew her family. So about 4 days before we were meant to leave, she called and she said, my dad has offered me the opportunity to go to university and pay for my university if I don't go traveling with you. And I said, oh, well, we're supposed to leave in 4 days. And she went, yeah, I'm actually flying to Arizona with him tomorrow, and I'm not going to travel with you. And I was stuck, and I didn't know if I was going to continue going on the trip or if I would cancel altogether. I mean, it was nothing that I had planned to do on my own. And then I sat down and had a good think, and I decided to go. And, that 4-month initial trip turned into an 8-year journey. So life is what happens when you make other plans. And it certainly happened that way for me. So that initial step to delve into the world and take a chance on travel changed the entire trajectory of my life. At this point, it's been over 40 years since that initial decision. And I've been to almost 100 countries and have been traveling for over 40 years consistently.
Absolutely great. I love it. Okay, let's say someone is planning a trip, tour, friends, family, solo. What's your take on this? How can you tell what's best for you? Is there a way to know?
Well, my first suggestion would be to think about what you want out of the trip. And if you're lost and going, I want to travel, but I don't know what I want to do, or if I want to go somewhere, or where I want to go, think about what you'd like. Do you want to go and research your ancestry and go to your homeland and start visiting a country that might have deeper meaning to you? If you're interested in cooking, do you want to go and take some cooking classes, whether it's in Asia or in Paris? If you're interested in music, maybe you want to study guitar with some of the fantastic musicians in South or Central America. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could think about, what do I want out of this journey? And once you've figured that out, then you can start putting in the other pillars. Do I want to do this on my own? Do I want to have a companion to share the experience with me? Or do I want to do it in a group with other people that are also interested in this sort of subject? So that's always the first suggestion I give to people. Figure out what you want out of your trip, and then the rest can come. And then it's just simple planning, getting your passport, getting the right visas, getting a flight, starting to look at hotels, starting to look at your itinerary and your budget, but really having the knowledge of what you want at the end of the day is the most important part of the travel.
Absolutely. And sometimes it mixes up. You could go on your own and get in tours. So it's like either or. I love your advice there. Now, you've mentioned several world destinations that you feel are best for women travelers, including Thailand, Mexico, Spain, Israel, Japan, Denmark, Netherlands, and most places in Europe. Why those countries?
Well, they've got an open view towards women. Women are looked at equally. In a lot of places in the Middle East, women are not able to travel on their own, number one. They have to cover themselves up extensively. Certainly places like Afghanistan, I would never suggest that a woman go travel. It's dangerous.
Or a man at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you want to choose countries that are easier for you to travel in. Places like India are interesting because they're difficult to travel, yet women travel there. And they even have women only train cards so that when you're on the train, you are just surrounded by other women. So countries that I've suggested, like Thailand or Israel or Spain, they're very open, very easy to travel, and women are seen as equal to men. And you're not going to have some ideological issues that are going to be a problem.
Excellent. I say think of that ahead of time, but of course, if you are traveling to those countries that you're talking about, there are ways to make it easier as well. We don't want to shut it out. We're not saying that.
No.
It's just as an idea to begin with, it's a little bit easier to get around as a woman, and that's a good
Yes. Even when you're traveling in some of the more difficult countries, parts of Eastern Europe might be a little bit harder, but there are hostels that you could reserve women's only rooms. So those little things make it a bit easier. Or there are so many online groups now where you can find other women to travel with so that you're not on your own.
A little bit of prep, a little more
You
prep maybe
a
for that.
little more prep, you bet.
Okay, well, I would like to know what you think about cruises.
I've actually never been on a cruise, if you could believe this.
Well, I'm
And
going to recommend it to you because I've written a book on cruises and been
well,
on many, and it's wonderful for
it's
solo, for with others. It's a great idea, right?
well, absolutely. And I mean, those are the things that I've wanted to do, but number one, I'm saving them. I wanted to do them when I was a little bit older.
They're easier, yes. Unpack
You,
once.
Well, and also you've got, if anything should happen, I have gotten sick and been hospitalized in a few countries. On a cruise, there's medical attention if you need it. There's automatic safety and security around because you've got other people and staff that can immediately help you. If you're in a hotel in a foreign country and you're on your own, it's a little bit more challenging. But cruising is something I am absolutely looking forward to doing. Are you kidding? It's the greatest way of travel.
Oh,
I'm
it's a
excited.
wonderful thing. Yeah, you have a lot to look forward to in that. And I like your understanding that for older travelers, it's a great way to travel on your own or with others. They now have
Yeah.
solo rooms in some cruise lines. Norwegian Cruise Line has solo rooms as well. The single supplement has been somewhat adapted in some of these
Yes.
cruise lines. You do need planning for that. It's a good value for women. I love cruising. Okay. So once you've chosen where you're going to go, how about packing? I'm sure you have wonderful tips on that.
My very first trip when I was going on that 4-month journey, my cousin said to me, pack your bag and then take half out.
And
Yeah,
twice
and
the money, actually, but
yeah,
no.
well, bring twice the money and half the items that you're going to wear. Pack light, pack clothing that can be adapted and worn in multiple ways. So I bring a pair of black pants and a pair of beige pants and a couple black shirts and a couple beige shirts so that I can wear different outfits all the time. I can go to a very expensive restaurant. I can go to a cheapy restaurant or a street market and I have the clothing that's adaptable. Wash clothes and wear them rather than having a selection of a wardrobe. I don't need it. And I like shopping. I'm a shopper, and around the world, there is shopping to be had. If you go somewhere and you need a sweater, guess what? They're selling sweaters. You need a bathing suit. Trust me, they're going to sell bathing suits and sarongs and cover ups and sandals. So you don't always need to carry your entire wardrobe, but you do need to carry a medical kit and provide you with the necessities that you have at home, the vitamins, the minerals, your prescriptions, carry them in the original bottle so that if you are in a foreign country and you are running low on the prescription, you can always pop into a pharmacy and get it represcribed. It might be under a different name, but it will still be the same prescription. So it's also very important to take a medical kit with you.
Right. I put my stuff out on the bed before I go and what will go with what and what don't.
Yes.
When you see it on your bed, you can see what to get rid of. The only problem is once I was traveling on a cruise, and when I opened my suitcase, I realized I had left all my shoes on the bed, except
Oh,
the sneakers I was wearing, and it was
oh my
a nice
God.
cruise. Yeah, and we were way
Oh,
out in sea, and I couldn't buy any shoes.
oh my.
However, it's very nice to know that I wore a size 8, and there are lots of people on the cruise ship, I guess, who work there who also donated shoes to me.
That's funny.
Every,
The other thing about packing is now Airlines have changed significantly in their fees. So if you carry a large suitcase, you're carrying that suitcase from place to place to place, on a train, off a train, on a bus, off a bus,
Trains,
in a
I know.
hotel, off. Airlines will charge you for that extra suitcase. Put everything that you need in a carry-on and carry an extra bag with you. You don't have to worry about the airline losing your bag and you being without everything. Make sure that you carry your essentials with you. You've got your medication, you've got a change of clothing, you've got underpants,
Oh,
you've
yeah.
got with you, and you're not running around that next day trying to find everything.
Very good tip. I would say when you pack a little extra underwear. Doesn't take up much room and
Yeah.
it's so handy to not have to wash it out all the time. Go without it. Go commando, I guess. That would be another option.
Okay, you're crazy.
So let's focus on traveling solo. Like you, I've soloed to many countries,
Yeah.
including even Antarctica. And I liked it so much that I wrote a book called Solo Traveler way back in 2005, encouraging others to try it. What do you feel are some of the benefits of traveling solo?
Well, I think number one, you get to explore the world on your own. The itinerary is your itinerary. You go where you want, when you want. If you want to sit in a museum for 6 hours and stare at a painting, you have the luxury to do that. It's your trip. You tend to meet a lot more people when you're traveling solo, as opposed to being in a group because I'm surrounded with the same people, or when I'm with a companion because we're usually talking one on one. Being solo in a restaurant, there's an extra chair, and it's always so much easier to invite somebody to join you. I have joined walking tours on my own and gone on to travel with them. I love traveling solo. It challenges you to really understand yourself, what
Wow.
you believe, what you want, where you want to go, and the kind of trip that you want to have. It really allows you to be with yourself and get to know yourself.
It's not for everyone. I think you can
No,
try it for a weekend, let's say. Go to
yeah,
a city or someplace where there's lots to do and see how it feels before you go on a big trip. But if you like it, it's one of the most wonderful feelings when you get home that you've done this
right.
incredible trip on your own. You've met people. I think if you ask questions and smile, you're going to meet so many people. I think women are especially good at it. I don't know what that is. We seem to interact easily or whatever. I've spoken to many men about it. They don't like it a lot of times.
Yeah.
Mainly women are out there on their own. You meet other women on their own.
I had an experience in Marrakesh when I was traveling Morocco on my own, and I was walking through the large market, Jamal Fana. There was a Berber woman who was telling fortunes, and she was surrounded by men. She caught my eye, and she invited me to sit with her so that she could tell me my fortune. And again, I was on my own, so my time is my time. I'm like, absolutely, I'm taking this opportunity. And I sat down in front of this Berber woman. We did not speak the same language. I had no clue what she was telling me as she was reading my palm. She would look at a line on my palm and say something and then slap my hand, and everybody would laugh and I would laugh. And I took her palm and started doing the same thing.
Oh,
And we
really?
had the crowd laughing, and it was the most beautiful connection. And neither of us spoke the same language, but that universal language of smiling and laughing and connection, woman to woman, we understood each other. And
Wow.
that to me is just the beauty of solo travel is you really get to have experiences like that.
I know eating on your own is a problem for many people because they're worried about it, but you can always eat in your room. You can people watch, you can bring your phone or a book and read something. Single tables now. You
Yeah.
can come early. You don't have to walk into everybody by themselves. If you stay at a place that maybe is a little bit smaller, like you said, some hostels have women's sections only, but small hotels often have staff that will cater to you. And it's nice to come home to a small hotel. And I like to stay near where I'll be visiting or eating, especially at night. Safe air on the side of caution when you're on your own, a little bit more than you might otherwise. How about
Yeah.
some budget suggestions for women and men?
A lot of museums around the world have free days, whether it's a Monday or a Thursday. Find out when the museums offer lower prices. A lot of cities have public transportation and passes. And as a traveler, being in London, if you're taking the subway, you don't want one-way tickets everywhere you go. You want a weekly pass because you're going to be on and off the subways and the buses. Talking about food, especially in places like Paris, where they've got phenomenal food, or Thailand, going to the markets, eating where the locals are eating, going to a park with a baguette and some vegetables and cheese. I mean, there's some really amazing things that you can do. Thailand, they have food that they will put in small bags, and you can carry the bags away and go and sit in front of a beautiful Buddhist temple and eat. I mean,
I used to do that for lunch. I'd say, I'm going to buy some food somewhere and find a beautiful view or
yeah,
place to sit and just look at it and eat. That's perfect. And
yes.
you have to be a little free to do that and walk around maybe a little bit.
A lot of restaurants have daily specials. Being on your own in a restaurant, that to me was always a great place to sit with a map. Now it's your phone, but I would sit with a map, or I'd sit with my journal and write about the day. I would start planning my next day's itinerary or the afternoon's itinerary. But
And when I would sit in restaurants, some of my trips, I would try to learn the language of the country I'm in, a few words. It was always
oh,
at
yeah.
my meal that I would study my language. It made me feel very purposeful. If it's quiet, you learn it. So it's
Yes, always important to try and learn at least please and thank you in a foreign
where
language.
is the bathroom? That's a good
Where
one.
is, but at least you've made an effort.
You mentioned shopping. I just want to recommend shopping locally at hardware stores and little shops. I found beautiful chests, which, the patterns are in museums. I remember in Guatemala, it was in a hardware store, or a little semi-hardware store. It was gorgeous, and locals shop there. The prices are excellent. And I would start local always, if you can, as you mentioned. What do you think about romance on the road? You write about that.
Well, there's very different ways of looking at romance on the road. Sometimes it's just a fling. Let's be honest. Sometimes you're in such a beautiful space. It's so romantic. You meet a partner, you think this is going to be a lifelong thing. No, it's not. You got to know if it's for a season or for an evening. You also need to understand the difference in how different cultures view romance or sex. You're in a heightened sense of awareness when you're traveling. Everything is romantic. Everything is extraordinary.
It's hard enough to have romantic relationships close by, let alone in a foreign country. And I would err on the side of caution. Very, very skeptical about it. You don't really need it. Be cautious. That would be
Yes,
my suggestion.
absolutely.
Are there any other thoughts in general about women traveling?
As women, we travel through the world differently than men. When you're traveling around the world, it's heightened. You may not understand the cultural cues about safety, about space. I've carried a whistle at night. Women understand women wherever you are.
Well, I have a very good tip, and I've used this one. I have a eyebrow pencil kind of thing. I've talked about this before and people laugh, but it works. Put a big coleslaw on your lip. Really big.
Oh,
Really big. Nobody bothers you. I have
oh, that's
used
really
this.
funny. I've also worn a wedding ring.
Yes, that
And
helps.
that is a very simple trick. I've told men while I'm traveling that my husband is back in the hotel, very
Mhm.
sick. We happen to be in town for the police conference. My husband is, and so I make up these grand stories, but my husband is meeting me in 20 minutes. Men usually leave at that point.
Right. So thinking ahead a little bit on this,
You
prepare.
bet.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a little savvy, well, the name of the podcast is Places I Remember. So, Caryl, as a woman who has traveled the world much on your own, how about a memory?
Years ago, I was traveling in Machu Picchu, and I was lucky enough to be able to watch the moonrise on the solstice with somebody who was the head of security, tourism security. He took me to the Temple of the Moon, and we watched the moonrise together, and it was a spiritual moment. And I had been traveling for months with a book called The Lost City of the Incas by Hiram Bingham. He had discovered Machu Picchu. I gave it to this man, Jose. I signed my name in the book. And I said, I'd love for you to have this. I don't need this book anymore, but I think you'll enjoy this. He spoke English. And so I gave him the book and didn't think twice about it. About 20 years later, I was at my aunt and uncle's for dinner, and my uncle said, Caryl, we've just come back from a trip in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we were at a bed and breakfast, and this woman had an extraordinary library. And I pulled this book out, and it had your name in it. And I stole the book, and I am here to give it back to you. In my hand right now is the book with my name
Oh my
inscribed. 20 years later, the book came back to me. So the magic of travel is that you never know what is going to happen or what will end up coming back into your hands as a gift.
Oh, that's a great story. I love it. I love it. Well, Caryl Eve Dolinko, author of A Woman's Guide to World Travel, you've given us excellent insights and great stories. I hope we've encouraged some of you women and men to get out there and enjoy our beautiful planet. And as you say, Caryl, to look is simply seeing, to do is life. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to our award-winning podcast. We've recorded over 100 episodes of Places I Remember, so follow us on any podcast app. And new monthly episodes are also on YouTube with gorgeous video. My book, Places I Remember, is available in print and Kindle, and I read the audio version. Follow my travel writing at Forbes.com. Contact me at the links in the show notes or on my website, placesirememberlealane.com, and keep making your own travel memories.